Just your average everyday trucker, keeping it real. I'm your host, Chris Blodgett, and you're listening to Real Talk Tuesday. Today's topic is going to be mental health and self-care. This is episode 101. Once again, guys, welcome. Appreciate you being here. So, I know that's the topic for tonight: mental health and self-care. I know a lot of us struggle with that. I know a lot of us deal with mental health issues, whether it's just dealing with stresses in life, stresses at our job. Maybe we've had things have had stuff happen that we've struggled to deal with. The important thing is finding healthy ways to cope with that, finding healthy ways to deal with it. And it's hard. Hell, I'm still I've got things I'm dealing with from there's things I'm dealing with still back from my last marriage, things I'm dealing with from when I was a kid, things I'm still having trouble processing years later from within the past 5 things that I became aware of within the past 4 years, but they happened probably within the past 6 or 7 years. Those skeletons in the closet, so to speak. Those deep, dark secrets that at least one. I guess, for example, it'd be there being 2 or 3 people, and of course there being a secret that at least 1 or 2 of them would rather the third person not find out. So deep, dark, hidden secrets, little skeletons in the closet like that. And I'm sure that I'm not alone in that, as far as having things that have happened in the past that I struggle with, or things that I found out about that happened in the past that technically kind of involved me in a way, but I wasn't directly there, if that makes sense. I wasn't present when this event occurred, and then I found out about it later after it being kept a secret for a long time. Stuff like that. Sometimes that can be hard, and me just because I figured tonight's inspiration for these topics. I kind of wanted to open up to you guys a little bit. Kind of wanted to, because I'm all, this is part of what these Tuesday episodes are about. Kind of, it's real talk. It's no bullshit. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna make crap up. This is me keeping it real with you. So, one of the things hell, the thing that happened within the past 3 years was the thing with my daughter. You know, where she left up, you know, out of the blue, up and left with our grandson, and we didn't hear from her for a couple of years, and we had no contact at all. She's back now. Like, I guess it came to a point back in like early October when, actually before that, I think, because October was when we went out there. We took like a little over a week off, and we stayed in a nice hotel and had a nice vacation. But we were also going up there to like help her move the rest of her stuff back down here to Tennessee and stuff. But after a couple of years of no contact, I guess things fell apart up there. And you know, it's like all like everyone usually a lot of, like what happens most of the time. I'm not gonna say it happens all the time, but kids are eventually gonna need their parents. You know, whether it's they need help with something or they just miss them. Now, I'm not saying that always happens, because I'm sure there's occasions where you know, the parents and the kids, they lose contact for whatever reason. It could be, you know, maybe the parents are abusive or something, and the kid basically cuts them off. You know, like they just, you know, cut off contact, whatever. That wasn't the case with us. Like, there's no issues between us, our daughter, and our grandson. But unfortunately, there was a negative influence that came in the picture, kind of influenced her, kind of turned her against us, so to speak. And we had no idea that there was even a problem until it happened. It just all of a sudden one day, you know, I came home from church and this other person was there, and our daughter was packing up her stuff and our grandson's stuff in this pickup truck that this other individual had driven down in, and basically just leaving. Like, just, by the way, I'm just leaving. So little situations like that even though you know, things came to a head, I guess things fell apart, she actually like reached out to us and basically, you know, reached out and needed us. We brought her back. Like, we were like, yeah, we'll come out there and get you, you know. Little things like that, you know, can leave a lasting mark. Like, I thought before we reconnected with her, I thought I wasn't like that. Me and my daughter and my grandson, that I wouldn't have any contact, that I probably wouldn't see him grow up. That, who knows, or that I would probably see him again when he grew up, and would probably reach out to us eventually. So I was really surprised and grateful, you know, thankful to God or whatever, that when all of a sudden we're in contact with her again, and she was texting me, you know, and saying, you know, of course it was from a Kansas number, so it was like, you know, I got this, hey Dad, it's Allie, blah blah blah. I'm really sorry about, you know, the things I said and did. And I was like, this is Allie? She's like, yeah. I'm like, can you send me a selfie, because I want to make sure I want to make sure that, you know, I like proof, you know, that it's Allie, because I don't know this number. She sent me a selfie, and it had her and my wife on there, because they were out in the car or whatever, because my wife flew out there to do the initial contact, I guess. But to not really go into that situation, because of course that's in the past. But the problem is with things in general, like little traumatic events, no matter what they are, if they're falling out with the family or, you know, just whatever, even though it's in the past, it's still there. Like, we can forgive, you know, like, I'll admit, I'm just a weak, imperfect human, you know? Like, I'm not, like, I'm basically, the Lord gives me as much strength, basically, you know, I basically have as much strength as I can possibly have, and I'm doing the best I can, but even I, like, you know, there's things like that, for instance. I thought if we did have contact, if we did start talking, that, like, I thought I was gonna be like yelling at her, you know, pissed off at her, screaming at her, whatever. How could you? You know, like, yeah, you should feel bad, blah blah blah. You know. But then, of course, then when it came down to it, and all of a sudden she's texting me, I'm texting back like, oh my god, it's so great to hear from you. Like, Allie, are you okay? Like, I've been wanting to reach out to you, but I've been scared to message. And she was like, I've been wanting to reach out to you too, but I've been scared to message your mom. Immediately, I felt when we were in communication again, I felt like the anger was gone. Like, I wasn't angry at what happened, about what happened. I wasn't feeling necessarily like, you know, there's still hurt, obviously. Like, the hurt, there's like anything in the past that you deal with, it's extremely traumatic. It's not gonna, you know, and that was an extremely traumatic experience, because one day, me, my wife, and our youngest thought everything was fine. You know, it was me, my wife, my youngest. We had my oldest daughter, our grandson. We're all you know, living at home in the same apartment we're currently in. And then, like, literally the night we go to bed the night before, and things are fine. I go to church the next day, and I opt not to take my grandson to church with me because he and my daughter were both had like a cold. They were both coughing pretty bad, sneezing the night before. So I went into my daughter's room and I said, hey, I normally would take him to church with me, let him, like, have him, you know, play with other kids in the little daycare area. But you guys both sound like you guys don't feel good, so I'm just gonna let you guys sleep. I'm not gonna come in here and wake you up or anything. And she said, oh, cool, that'd be great, yeah. So I didn't take him to church the next morning, and then I went, got some grocery stuff for, like, you know, for like lunch meat and stuff to take like a cooler with me to work, because I was back when I wasn't doing dedicated. I was doing still trucking for FedEx, but I was doing the take an empty to a location, bring a loaded one back, and I do like 8 or 9 of those a day. And so I got my you know, groceries, you know, meal prep stuff. Well, it's kind of like what I do right now with meal prep, except it was just I would get like a couple pounds of like deli meat and some vegetables, or sometimes it was like cucumbers that would slice up and put into like a Tupperware container with like the red seasoned salt on them. Don't know if you guys ever tried it like that, but you guys should. It's really good. But I got that and I came home and I was hanging out for a brief minute, only to realize that, like, all of a sudden, you know, our daughter was basically taking the grandson outside. I'm gonna take him out and play, but then she kept coming back in and lugging a big trash can filled with stuff out the door, saying she was taking trash out. And I kind of got suspicious and was like, wait a minute, what's going on? Only to realize that this other individual was there and they were loading the bed of the truck with stuff, and I didn't know what was going on. I thought, you know, I woke the wife up, and we walked over to say hi, only to be told right there, like, by the way, I'm moving in with them. And we're like, what are you talking about? It's like, I'm leaving. You know, I'm taking baby boy with it. I'm like, why? What's going on? So, like, when all this happened, me and my wife were, you know, of course, crying the whole time. When they drove off, of course, we had to, you know, we both gave our grandson hugs and kisses. You know, told him we loved him. Both looked at each other like we didn't have any idea if we were ever going to see him again. You know, then, of course, one memory that always sticks out from that traumatic experience. And you could say in a way, like, yes, I've you know, she's home, we're good, we're not mad at her about any of the past, whatever, we forgive her, obviously. But you can forgive, but some things you might not be able to forget, like the pain. Depending on how bad the pain was, like how much trauma there was, sometimes that just might not go away. Maybe it will eventually, but all you can do is do your best. But like that night, after they drove off, to kind of give you guys a little bit of to describe it as best I can, is we're inside the apartment. My youngest was sitting on one couch. My wife was sitting on her recliner, her head buried in her knees, sobbing. I was pacing back and forth in the room, taking deep breaths, trying to get my breathing under control because I was sobbing to the point where the kind of shudder sobs that basically where you can't breathe because you're crying so hard, but you can't stop crying, so you can't breathe. So like that was, and then of course all around the apartment we had stuff that weren't able to take. Like there's toys of his, there were sippy cups, clothes. I mean, for a while, I would like a lot of weekends, or a lot of nights when I would get home from work and I'd be sitting downstairs winding down. I would be able to look over on the couch where they would normally sit, and our grandson, he's kind of a goofball, and he was definitely even more so back then when he was a little bit younger. He still is, but he's bigger, so he doesn't quite flop as much. But back then he was a little bit shorter, and he would stand up on the couch. He would literally go, "Whoa!" and he would just free fall, like, down onto the couch, like flop on his belly or whatever, or onto his side or on his back or whatever. And so I could look over there months and months after they left. I could look over there and I would still see him doing that. And I know for probably about 6 or 8 months, you could say I kind of gave up. Like the pain was just too much, and I got to a point where I kind of didn't, was like, I don't care anymore. I can't deal with this, and like probably definitely drank more. Definitely wasn't watching what I ate. Weight was climbing quite a bit, but it was a very. I got to like 8 months where I went from like 330 pounds. Because of course it's been a constant thing working on losing weight, Hopefully now that I'm actively working on like the diabetes and stuff, hopefully now things will actually start to get a little more under control and stuff, because things are kind of turning around a little bit. But for like probably about 8 months, I went from like 325 to 380 pounds, and then I had to, by that point, I was starting to have some serious health problems. And I finally had to tell myself, look, like I have to get this under control. I have to try to be okay, otherwise I'm gonna die. Like I'm gonna die at a young age because I'm just gonna have a heart attack or stroke or something. Because of grief or whatever. So I started trying to make some changes and try to do the best I could, which is hard to do when all you want to do because you have such heartache and such pain inside of you that all you want to do is just crack another one open and just go dumb a little bit, But I got things turned around for a while. Things were never easy, but I tried to deal with it the best I could. And that's why for a while, when I first started this podcast, we were still obviously not talking yet. Like we hadn't reconnected with our daughter yet at that point. As of like this week, I think the Blonde Show is, I think it just passed a year old. It was just about a year ago when I did the first episode and stuff. So for anybody who's been with me since the beginning, I really appreciate it. And hope you guys hang in there with me, because I have great things planned for it. For us here. Obviously, because of my schedule and just not having a whole lot of time, it's going to take some time to get there. Because of course, I'm working on things on the side to, try to eventually be able to take more time off. Eventually, be able to come out of the trucking job altogether and just be home full time with the fam. But back when I started this podcast, it was really hard to try not to say names and go into detail, because when you have the pain and the anger, you want to call people out. Oh, so and so, such a bitch, blah blah blah. I tried my hardest to try to avoid all that. Because I didn't want to put stuff out there, actually name names, and stuff like that, because I thought, well, I don't know what the future has in store. I don't know if my daughter's gonna come back, whatever. So got to a point where we were just surviving. We were doing our best, and that's when I guess things fell apart for our daughter, and she needed us to come up there for her, and we were like, yeah, of course, we'll be right there, I didn't. It was one of those. If you had asked me a month prior to that, what happens if she contacts you? I would have been like, I don't know. You know, I don't know what I'll do. But then when it happened, we were like, we're on our way. It wasn't even a thought. Like, we didn't even think about it. It was just, okay, we'll be right there. Like, yeah, we'll see. We got a hotel reserved tonight. We'll be there. We'll see you tomorrow morning. She's like, okay, great. You know, I love you. I'm really, really, really sorry. And I'm like, I basically was like, well, I'm sorry for my part in it too. I don't. You know, I know that I'm not. I know we all had our parts to play and whatever and everything that happened, even if we don't know necessarily what the parts are. But we can at least. I was like, I know that I did something. Probably had some part playing why things went down the way they did, and I apologize. I'm just glad you're coming up. But the point of it is that, and this is only a couple years back. You know, when this happened, like probably within the past 3 years. And there's still like I'm not angry with her, and you know, that's like there's no, like we're good. Like she and I are good. I have nothing wrong with her. The problem I have is more with myself, because like I said, when you have something traumatic that happens, then yeah, you might be able to move on from it and deal with it as best you can. The pain of it is probably gonna be residual. It's gonna be there for a while. It's like if you lose some. Well, I guess technically, yeah, 'cause, like if you lose somebody that's close to you. We lost her, and we lost our grandkiddo, who we were like, you know, attached to the hip with. You know, I'm Papa. My wife is Nana to him. You know, our youngest is auntie. You know, is auntie to him. You know, and so it's like it was really hard to deal with that. To the point where a couple weeks after they left, my youngest actually told us, because you know it took a few weeks before we were no longer pacing around the house crying as much. We were still struggling, you know, random occasions would just cause us to burst out crying, you know, reminders of them and stuff. But we were doing our best to try to cope. And I think at one point I did actually seek therapy through BetterHelp, which they're not sponsoring any. I don't have any sponsors officially yet. But this podcast is one of my goals to figure out how podcasters eventually get to have like sponsors and like, you know, ads and stuff like that, where they can actually like, you know, monetize their podcast. I'm still working on that. So, but anybody who wants to support the show, go to blogtheshow.com/support. Any support helps. But just thought I'd throw that out there. But you know, I went to BetterHelp and I got a therapist for probably had her for about 2 to 3 months. You know, so that was a little bit helpful. You know, like once a week, and then of course if you have an active account with it, you can actually message back and forth with your therapist. So that was really cool. You know, the reason why I stopped was because like I was working like a 1:30 shift, and I would usually get home back by like midnight, so I wasn't really getting up too early. And a lot of the appointments that she had available were like during the weekdays, like 9 a.m., 9:30 in the morning, which, you know, I did that for quite a few weeks, and of course was tired as hell the rest of the day. And I was always asking, do you have any Saturdays? Like, do you have, because I'm off on Saturday and Sunday, do you have any Saturday, you know, appointments? She said, well, normally like only when I got is like 6 a.m., 6 to 8 a.m., and I'm like, man, that's really early for a day off. So after a little while, she lost all weekend days altogether and only had like 7 a.m. time frames during the week, and I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and cancel my membership with you guys, because I was like, it's just too early for me. I was like, I need a later time. She was like, I can connect you with another therapist. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll just. But it did help. So, you know, that anybody out there that, you know, if you've dealt with some really bad stuff, like for instance, like I had to recently let go of a friend I told you guys about that came over from Australia and stuff, you know, like, I don't know, it's one of those where always drama, kind of always negativity too, where you know, try to be there for them, and they're always talking about how grateful they are to have you in their life, or whatever. But then when you're trying to give them advice about something that's they're a direction they're headed, that you're like, you don't want to do that. That's not a very healthy choice. Like, for instance, trying, like, you know, like, depending on being with somebody so heavily that you're willing to even just go, like, all of a sudden start dating some random person that messes you on Instagram that you've never met in real life, and people are trying to recommend, like, that's not healthy. Like, you need to go. You had some trauma. You need to go work on yourself before you can actually, you know, get into a healthy relationship. And they still basically just say screw you, and you know, and they try to be try to think of the right word for it. Yeah, I can't think of it. Where they manipulate you a little bit by when you're like, I don't know if I can do this anymore, because, like, look, like, this is just too much. Well, if you wanna, I understand. If you wanna walk away, I'm a handful. So they're alright, you know. And I just had to think about it for a second. You know, basically, it's one of those where you message and you try to talk it out, and you give them time. You're like, all right, you know, here, I'm trying to work through this. I'm trying to, you know, I don't want to be angry with you, whatever. I want us to, you know, figure this out. And then you don't hear from them for a day because they ignore you. It's like, all right, well then, you know, good luck, have a nice life. So one of those, you know what they say when they say that term, the trash taking itself out. You know, that's kind of what I'm like. Well, like, obviously we weren't, you know, as much quote besties like she was always saying. You know, she's like, oh, we're besties. I've never used that term, but she was always like, we're besties, you're my best friend, whatever. I'm like, if I'm your best friend, then wouldn't you listen to me at some point? You know, like, like, you know, always getting involved in bad situations or whatever, and it's like, you know, then you try to help them, but it's like, okay. So I had to bow out of that friendship and let her go, you know, and delete her on all my socials or whatever. She, you know, she had my number, so I'm like, look, like, if that online relationship ever falls through, and all of a sudden I have a feeling I'll probably eventually get a text or something, I'm like, we'll see what happens. I don't know if I would go back into a friendship with her again. I might be like, look, I'm sorry that your relationship fell through, but, you know, I tried. Like, you pushed me away, so I'm no longer interested in even trying with you. So that was kind of a stressful thing, you know. But the funny thing was, is like letting that friendship go was kind of like letting go of stressors, you know, letting go of negativity, letting go of drama, you know, because it was always, no matter how good things were, there was always a complaint about something. Like how she was with her fiance and then she moved to Ohio, and she was still complaining about stuff. Like, she was literally with the person she'd waited 2 years to be with, even though that fell through within a couple weeks because, I don't know, supposedly, you know, his ex told, you know, basically forbid him to actually be with her if he wanted to have anything to do with her, with his son or whatever. So it's like, yeah, something that my former friend did, I don't know, but she was actually down there with him for a couple weeks and was like, you know, doing a lot of stuff together and actually like a lot of time together. And you would think when you're really looking forward to something and you actually accomplish it, you would think, you're like, oh my God, life is great. No, she was still like, I'm just trying to be patient and giving it to God. And I'm like, what are you upset about? Like, why are you stressing? Well, because I'm just trying to be patient, you know, because obviously I have this. Okay. But I don't quite get it, because it'd be like, you know, I get to do a better job, and then I'm still like, you know, oh my God, like, I just can't wait until things get better, you know, like, but things happen, you know, you got to take the little wins along the way, you know? And so that is the one thing that saddens me about, you know, about letting go of, basically you know, 'cause she pulled away herself and I let her go. Like I didn't try to hold on. I didn't try to, hey, we really need to talk about this. I basically said, look, I can't deal with this anymore. Like you're gonna do what you're gonna do. You're a grown ass woman. Go ahead, make your own choices. But I can't be here for you to come running back to you and, you know, to keep running back to you because you're, you know, the path you were going down didn't go the way you planned, and all of a sudden you need support. I think if you want to be with this guy that you don't know, or you want to be in this situation that you don't want to listen to anybody about, you go ahead. That's fine. That's entirely your choice. You're an adult. You can make your own choices. But you're the one making these choices, and you have to live with them, you know? So there was a little bit of pain like that going, all right, you know, because we talk every day. So that part kind of sucked, but then I noticed after about a week, I was like, you know what, I actually like, because I mean, my phone is so dead. The past, it's been like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I think. Maybe like 2 weeks at least since I basically, you know, I deleted her off of, you know, I basically restricted her on Facebook where we're still friends, but she's not going to see me, I'm not going to see her, and I took her off of all my other socials and stuff. But I noticed, like, after about a week of you know, not really chatting a whole lot out here at all while I'm out here working, because it was mostly me and her. You know, I have a couple other friends that we chat, but it's kind of sporadic. But I was like, you know, actually it's been quiet, and, you know, another friend of mine was like, I bet you're bored because you're not really chatting with Kirsten too much anymore now. And I'm like, no, actually, I've been fine. I've been listening to podcasts, or if I have to, I record, get an episode recorded for the Blodge Show, you know. And so it's like, I've been basically just pushing forward, and it hasn't, it's, if anything, it's less heavy, you know, because I'm not dealing with the drama, I'm not dealing with the negativity, the complaining about, you know, it's like, it hurt more to me that she was so willing to just basically throw away what she called like one of her best friends or whatever for somebody that she didn't know, just because instead of going to get help, she was so desperate to actually be in a relationship with somebody. So like, all right, you do what you gotta do. But so I had to deal with that, but thankfully that wasn't even that big of a deal. You know, because it's like, basically the way I look at it was, look, she made her choice. I'm not going to sit around and keep hoping that she'll listen, you know. But things like the situation that happened with my daughter and my grandson, like I said, I'm not mad at her at all. Like, she and I are good. Like, I think we're you know, probably better than we were when she was here, or when she was here before. My issue is more with me, you know, because of course, like, things like that, like I said, traumatic experiences are going to linger with you. And so there's times that there's certain songs that I'll have on my Spotify, and when I sing those songs, there were songs that I sang quite a bit when I was you know, when she was still gone, and it would make me think of the situation that happened with her and my grandson. It would make me, you know, obviously think of them. And of course I would be bawling my eyes out while singing these songs, and you know, basically it was just me trying to get it out, you know, because I'm a trucker, I'm a load a lot, you know, and it's like me and my wife have this debate constantly because, you know, she's like, you know, talks about like that, oh, well, she's like, we don't talk about how I'm alone a lot, of course, you know, and she'll be like, I'm alone too, like, I work alone. I'm like, yeah, love, you have coworkers that actually are working in the same, like, you work at a restaurant, like, yeah, you might be off in your quarter, but there's still people within a proximity to you, whereas me, I'm in the truck by myself, you know? Which is, I mean, it's how I like it, you know, because I'd rather my office be where I'm at right now, you know, looking out the front of the truck as I go down the road, continue to make the miles and get paid that way, you know. But I am truly alone out here versus like in a workspace off of my corner. But I did notice that even since she's been back, there's still the pain of the past. It doesn't necessarily go away. Like, yeah, eventually maybe it'll lessen. It'll keep getting smaller and smaller until eventually I don't remember, like, it'll just be gone. I'll be like, yeah, I remember I used to hurt a lot, but it's probably. I mean, who knows? I mean, I know it's been a couple years since the event happened, and I was doing okay when we reconnected. I wasn't great, but I was doing better, and so who knows? Maybe it's gonna be a couple more years. But part of the point, one of the with the inspiration for these topics and stuff, not just like like self-care and mental health, is like we gotta find things that help you. My wife hates it because for me, like part of my go-tos are what I do on my days off on my weekend is my adult beverages. I don't drink during the week because I'm a driver, but I do a couple drinks some my Sunday and a couple drinks on my Monday. While just hanging out watching Netflix. That's basically just my go-to. I don't do it to get shit-faced because I don't like. I'm sure some of you guys could probably relate out there where you basically. I've done where I overdid it with like Fireball in the past, and we'd watch a movie, and then the next morning I would wake up feeling the heartburn from too much Fireball the previous day, and I would remember that we watched a certain movie. Like, I'd remember the title of the movie, I remember that we watched it, but for the life of me, I would be like, I don't have any idea what the movie was about. And I'd always laugh when that happened, like, shit, I gotta watch that movie again. And most of the time, it would be on a day off again, and I'd, of course, be enjoying my Fireball again, and so the next morning I'd wake up, crap, I did it again. So now I don't really, like, I literally don't do as much of the hard stuff. It's more like margarita mix, Mike's Harder, the 24-ounce cans that have like 10% alcohol in them. And maybe like one or two, light versions of the beer I drink. Sometimes I just do the regular one, but problem is when you got with diabetes, you deal with like the regular beer, you got the carbs, so that can kind of, but that's my go-to on my days off, just kind of, indulge in my drinks and watch Netflix, chilling out, The wife, of course, is like, yeah, but you're like, hey, like I do what I gotta do. I do whatever I can to try to like just be okay, And heck, so I think to me coming up with stories for the podcast, I think that helps too. Because you can throw your emotion into what you're doing, whether it's telling a story, whether like if you're like I say you're a musician, you can throw your emotion into playing whatever on an instrument, or hell, throwing all your emotion into a song you're singing, which that always helps, especially if it's a song where it gets very, very passionate, very emotional. Maybe it's going on a walk, or making a snack, certain kind of snack that you really love, or maybe self-care for you. Maybe it is going to church. Maybe like I know when I'm actually. I haven't been to church in a while because of my schedule. Just get back at like 3, 4, or like 5 a.m. or whatever. It's kind of hard for me to think I'm going to get up in 6 hours or 5 hours to go to church. But before doing my current job, I was always at church every Sunday, and continuing to dream about better days, dream about being able to get something like some kind of side income started, or would free me up from having to do what I currently do. And I would be at church, and during the worship music or whatever, where we're singing praise and worship music, there would be quite a few times where I would deliberately sit off somewhere away from other, like not sitting right next to other people, like where there's still like half of maybe like, you know, where you're kind of at least a handful of chairs away from the next person, because we'd be singing the praise and worship music, and I would just start bawling, you know, giving it all to God, whatever, just bawling, you know, because like it's almost like that on your knees, sobbing hysterically, saying, "Lord, please help me, just guide me," you know. I'm trying to give it all to you, you know, but it's hard to do, you know. You just got, all you can do is like, and I'm not gonna lie, like I've had really weak moments, really dark moments where I've had those thoughts, like, should I do such and such? And probably is like, because I'm you know, very strong in my faith, I have never fully gone down that rabbit hole, never really really thought about it too seriously, because part of it is more fear. Like, yeah, I would probably hurt like hell, or depending on what would happen or what I would do, you know, or you know, it's just one of those things. Like it's you gotta find things that help you, that make you feel better, even if other people say, "Oh man, that's not healthy for you." But let's say it's like going out and vaping, go having a couple cigarettes or whatever. You know, yes, it's not healthy for you physically, you know, but you can always try to quit later. You know, but vaping and smoking or whatever is how you try to at least feel somewhat normal, try to not be drowning from the pain, the emotional pain you're dealing with from whatever's happened in your past that's been extremely traumatic that hurt you. Then do it. You know, as long as you're not doing things like cutting yourself, or, you know, making, you know, doing, you know, try to, you know, do, like, for instance, attempts on your life. You know, if it's things like smoking a cigarette or vaping or smoking, you know, you know, doing whatever that will temporarily help you. That's not going to kill you at the moment, you know, but that it'll help you to feel better, to where you can mentally process what you're doing, you know, things you went through. Again, I would highly recommend therapy, like BetterHelp, because they're definitely, it's pretty interesting to be able to do a therapy session on a Zoom call, which is not really a Zoom call. It's actually when you log in on the app, you know, on their BetterHelp app. You know, they literally, you connect a video on that app, and I'm like, well, this is pretty cool. She's like, yeah, a lot of people like it. I'm like, okay, cool. So definitely recommend that. And, you know, and that's what was kind of sad about my friend Kirsten, was that she got out of one relationship only to be wanting to get on a dating site, get back into another relationship, and then she met got messaged by this random person on Instagram that a lot of the rest of us are thinking that this person's a catfish, you know, not even the guy that she thinks she's talking to, but so desperate to be in a relationship or whatever that she thought God guided her to that. And it was like, I don't think God guided you to some random person messaging you on Instagram for that person's your soulmate. I highly doubt that. You know, but again, you know, I it's completely, we all have to make our own choices and follow whatever path we feel is best, you know. And so I wish her the best, and I hope it does work out, but I couldn't, because of all the crap I've got, all the baggage I've got from the past. I had to walk away, because it's like, in the end, you have to do what is best for you. And you know, it's like you know what they say, there's always that saying that I've heard, that not everybody is meant to come into your life, or a lot of people are only meant to come into your life for a season. You know, they'll be in your life for a little bit, and then they'll exit. Like, you guys end up falling out, never talking again, whatever. It happens. I had hoped, because she and I had known each other like 9 or 10 years. We hadn't talked for quite a few years. But I had hoped that things would, the friendship would actually stick around, and like, but with all the drama and stuff, the way things went down, I have no intention of revisiting that because it was just too much negativity and drama, and you know, it's one of those where I'm always talking about when I'm doing my Facebook lives, you know, for the business, where I'm talking about like, it's one thing to want a better life. It's one thing to want to have changes happen, but they're never, unless you do something. But it takes action to make them happen. And don't get me wrong, love her to death. One thing that always annoyed me about her was basically like, I'd be like, yeah, I'm dealing with such and such, like I'm just having trouble with such and such. It was always, I'll pray for you. Okay, great, thanks. I appreciate that. And I pray about I pray as well, but it's one of those things like, for instance, and I'm not saying this has anything to do with her, but if somebody, let's say, I think I saw a Facebook post where it says like, if my friend, or if I have $20 and my friend has nothing, I'm buying. If I have the drink and my friend has nothing, I'm pouring. If I have gas and she doesn't, I'm driving. You know, we gotta be kind to each other, help people. Like, but the problem is like, there's people who are like the high and mighty. And again, I'm not gonna go too much into religion. I try not to do religion and politics. But when the most helpful you are with anybody, not even like advice, you know, like, hey, that's at least trying to help. But, well, I'll pray for you. You know, I pray for you all the time. Okay, thank you. You know, I appreciate that. And maybe it does help. You know, maybe there's things that change because of those prayers, or maybe not. You know, it's like, but when that's all you do, when you're talking like, hey, how you doing? You look stressed. Yeah, I'm stressed. I got this going on. You know, this happened. Whatever. Okay, I'll pray for you. I'll keep praying for you. Don't worry. Okay. All the while you're still dealing with the same stuff that you're dealing with, you know. And so, but then others in your life actually will come in and go, hey, here, I can do such and such. This might help. Here, try this, try that. Awesome, thank you. You know? So, but back to, just gotta find things that, you know, that's why, I don't know if you guys have seen him on TikTok, but there's a guy that I think it's called the guy, like the fuzzy hat guy or furry hat guy or something. He's got a guy that always has a beanie on, got long hair, really bushy hair. When I say bushy, like curly, whatever, you know, maybe kind of like a pro. He's a white dude though, but always got sunglasses on. I think he has a mustache and goatee, I think. But and when he's one of the things I keep across with him was he's thumping on the table like boom, boom, clap, boom, boom, clap. And he's like, sometimes I just gotta let you know it's okay not to be okay. Sometimes I don't even have the motivation to start my freaking day. And he's like, life can be a bitch because it feels so overwhelming. So, you know, of course I don't have all the exact lyrics, you know. He's like, you feel like you're just fucking drowning and nobody's fucking helping. So hold your freaking head up because it's easy to get fed up with this life and all the shit that comes with it. But at the end of the fucking day, you're gonna turn out okay because you're beautiful and too legit to quit. If you guys have seen that guy, the guy's freaking awesome. Because it's like, you know, this is like, take a break, because even if you think you can't afford it. And when I saw the video initially, there was a lady that did a duet, and of course, like, when he's saying the certain parts, like, it's okay not to be okay, she's like, it's true. And then sometimes I don't even have the motivation to start my freaking day. She's like, me either. And it's like, you know, take a break even if you can't, even don't think you can afford it. She's like, you can. And you know, it's like, case in point, when you guys hear this, at the time of recording this, I'm actually on my last day for the week. Technically, my last day. Woo! Thank God for 2 weeks, or not 2 weeks, 10 days. Because after tonight, I'm officially off. Like we'll be actually up in Kansas, hanging out. You know, going up there for the 4th, going up there, I think, to possibly spread my wife's father's ashes. I think possibly, I don't know. I know we're doing a family thing for that, but he passed away, I think, roughly about 2 years ago, and I don't know if they're planning to scatter them or scatter some of the ashes. I don't know, but you know, we financially, to kind of go along with that song, you know, that even if you think you can't, like, take a break, even if you don't think you can afford it. My wife, every year, we're going to Kansas for the 4th. You know, we always go to Kansas for the 4th. But every year, there's not a financial plan. It's not, we're going to Kansas for the 4th. Let's put money aside, you know, for it. Let's plan for 6 months out. Let's put $100 here, $100 there. So we have like 4,000 or 5,000 or whatever. We can get a nice hotel, have money to spend while we're up there. No, it's just we're going to Kansas on the 4th, and then the 4th comes along, and then we're like, there's been a lot of years that I'll admit, I harbor some resentment there, a little bit, as the major breadwinner in the house, basically. Like, I could have done some saving too, so it's not all on my wife, but there's always come up on that time of year, and she would just request time off and go up there, you know, plan for her and the kids to go up there on the 4th, and I would be, of course, doing my trucking thing, and I'd be like, well, we can't afford for both of us to take time off unpaid, because we got bills to pay, and we're going to fall behind on such and such, so I'll just stay out here and work. And it was always, well, we really wish you could come, but we understand. And it's like, okay, you know. So I had to think a lot about that too, you know, as far as the self-care thing. I thought with the working days and the flipping back to nights and the back to days again, I had to think about it, you know. And like a couple weeks, like within the past 2-3 weeks, I was looking at, like, you know, because the wife, of course, like, yeah, we're going up to the 4th, you know, we can just stay with mom. And I'm like, and I was like, well, I don't know, like, I was like, love, like, I worry about rent. Should I worry about rent too? I'm like, yeah, but you're just taking your time off work and going up there. Like, it's still, well, I worry about rent, but we're still going to go. Okay, well, financially, how are we going to pay such and such? But you know what I did? I thought about it for a minute. And I thought, because I was like, I've been having a hard time. I've been doing better lately when I'm running my route because going to bed when it's still dark out, like, even if it's like 3 or 4 in the morning, hell of a lot better than going to bed at like noon. Getting up at like 9, going back to work by 10, being up all night again, doing my regular route, getting back at dark 30 instead of, you know, like midday. So much better. But I've done so many overnights that the stress level has been like through the roof. I've really been struggling with that a lot, you know. And so it got to a point where I thought about it. I was talking to the wife about it. I told her, I said, you know what? I was like, I'm going to say that we can't afford to do the trip, but we're gonna do it anyway. Like, we can't afford to pay for $1,100 for a week for a hotel because we get a king suite. So that way we have enough room for all 4, me, my wife, both kids, and the grandkid. You know, all in the same hotel room because it's big enough that there's plenty of room for everybody. $1,100 for the week. I was like, we can't afford to do that, but let's put the reservation in. Let's just schedule it. Let's figure it out. And I told her, I was like, because I said I need a break. I kind of made that conscious decision, like, look, I need to get away, even if we financially this is going to be really tight. You know, let's just do it. You know, it's going to be probably quite a bit of hanging out in the hotel, and you know, because we have hot breakfasts. You know, we'll have food at her mom's house because, of course, my wife's the chef, so her mom will buy basically whatever food items they need to make whatever stuff for all the family being there, and then of course my wife will prep a lot of it. And then I told her, and then we'll steal a good portion of it, taking it back to the hotel, or some of it to the hotel, and we'll be eating it back there at her mom's house again when we come out and visit, you know, during the week or whatever. But I told the team when I was swapping tonight, I said, by the way, I was like, I won't see you guys again for a little over a week. He said, what happened? What's going on? I said, I'm going out of town with the fam. You know, we're officially leaving Tuesday, and we're coming back the following Tuesday, or the following Monday. He was like, oh, okay. I said, you know how it is, Chuck. I was like, I need a break. I said, I'm burned out. I said, I'm stressed out with the stuff dealing with the job. I've had days where I want to just basically say fuck you and quit. But of course I haven't. I'm one of those where it takes a lot. That would take a lot for me to. It would take a lot for me to make. Like I try not to make a really big decision without, like I try to think about it a lot. And so if I don't see any other job possibilities that are making me go, yeah, that would be a great switch. I see some that are like, yeah, that's a pretty good switch, but I don't know if I want to do that. So I'm just like, no, I'll stay, So base is kind of what the last couple months is kind of sticking around, running what loads I get, doing the best I can each week, and just see how things go, And then, that plus I don't want to just up and do a new job while staying where we're at. If I told the wife, I said I really want a fresh start. I want us to like relocate, like move out of state, find another. Hell, I'd move to Kansas so they could be closer to my wife's side of the family, or my wife's adopted side of the family, and I would be half the distance between here and my parents in Oklahoma. It's like 400 miles versus 800 miles. But I told the team tonight, I was like, yeah, I'm burned out. I have to take a break. I was like, I have to take some time off, and I was like, we can't really afford to do it, but we're gonna do it anyway. And he was, well, you got it. That's what you have to do. I was like, yep. So gotta do what we gotta do. And so find whatever you can. Like that's why I said, like, even if you can't afford to get away, figure out a way to do it. Figure out how you can pull off some kind of vacation, take a week off, go find a weekly, go stay at a weekly, one of those weekly hotel stays where you have a little kitchen in there and you're away from everyone else. Like I plan to bring some of these next stories that I bring to you guys for Storytime Fridays might actually be written instead of just on the fly like I've been doing, because I plan to bring my MacBook with me. And since last time we went up there, I just settled with the apartment complex about the slip and fall on the ice back last year or whatever. But so we had money to work with, so we were going out and doing things and whatever. This time we have a little bit, but we don't have anywhere near that. So there's gonna be a lot of just hanging out time, probably like TV and on our phone, and I'll probably take advantage of getting on the computer, because I also am looking at I want to get back into working on my book, and I actually have another idea for a book in mind, and then I thought about it within the past couple of days about maybe doing another book, technically fiction, making it still a like a creative story, but having it based off of true events, like having it based off of a little bit of the stuff that's happened in my life over the past, like with especially like in my marriage or in life in general or whatever. Just have it, but or maybe I don't know. I've been thinking about it and stuff, trying to think, okay, like if I were to do that, how would I go about it and stuff. But I know that I have a current book that I'm like halfway done that I haven't really done. I've put a little bit of work into over the past 6 months, but I was focusing on the story writing for the podcast, and then I haven't gotten back to writing more for the book. So I gotta get back in that, because that's another thing that would help the income as well, if I could get that book completed and get it listed on, even get it just listed on Amazon, like that's why it's like for the sake of mental health and self-care, sometimes you gotta just keep pushing forward. You gotta, instead of just if we just curl up and just give up and say, oh yeah, this sucks, I'm not gonna, then you're never gonna get out of that funk. So we gotta at least keep putting. That's why I said, like, keep putting one foot in front of another. keep pushing forward, doing what we gotta do. So, anyway, guys, I've talked your ears off long enough for this episode. I didn't plan to actually go about an hour long. I planned to make it like 30 minutes. But honestly, it seemed like a topic that was very, very much, very heavily on my heart. And I thought that maybe some of you guys could relate, or maybe you guys would find value in tonight's topic, what we talked about tonight. So, but in closing, I really appreciate you guys being here. You know what, I would like to cover a few things. Obviously, if anybody wants to check out another podcast about hip-hop, the history of hip-hop, if you're just looking for something to listen to, check out my bro Rico's podcast. Go to blogitshow.com/Rico, RICCO. I know he's got some new episodes that are coming out. I'm not sure exactly when, but he's working on them. If you like what you hear and you would like to support the Blodgett Show, go to blogitshow.com/support. You can support the show for as little as one-time donation for $1 or $1 per month. And obviously, you can pick other amounts above that as well. And as always, appreciate it, and thank you so much in advance. Every little bit will help, especially as we continue to grow and whatnot. That's one of the plans I have for the podcast as I achieve the things that I'm currently working on, especially on the side, and eventually can free myself up, not be quite so busy with my work schedule. I will be trying to make things even better for the show. But obviously right now I can only do the best I can, so it's a headset and phone deal, you know. But for anybody who wants to learn how to grow your following, how to start earning online, monetize your social media accounts, all that fun stuff. Even if you're a beginner and have never earned online before, if you don't have any tech skills, it doesn't matter. For complete beginners, you can learn how to do all that. The little side biz that I'm doing is called the Legacy Builder Program. It's got 4 different programs. Each one was literally step-by-step training. They walk you through how to do everything, teach you the skills on how to do it, how to go about and actually, you know, even if you have other businesses you've been trying to grow, this could actually help you with those as well. Go to blogitshow.com/freedom and check it out. Put your email in there. Reply back to my email with any questions you have. And aside from that, I hope everybody has a great rest of your week. Happy 4th of July. You know what I say, guys, keep pushing forward, keep believing, do what you got, do what we have to do until we can do what we want to do. And you have to believe you can and believe you will, and then you're already halfway there, and then you just have to go out there and do it. So hope everybody has a great holiday. Be careful with the fireworks. You know, be careful with the booze. You know, don't go too overboard. You know, all in moderation for the most part. But I appreciate you guys, and I will talk to you again on Friday. We do the next Story Time Friday. On that note, you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you then. Have a good one.